every week. Many of them are from here, North Carolina, but we got people from Florida, Puerto Rico, and other parts of the U.S. There's the phone number. Even if we got like Janice, who speaks Spanish too, and she's joined us several times. So if you pretty much good with Spanish, you're welcome to join us anytime. Also, I have been engaged out in the community doing a lot of bilingual weddings, which I know that we got some couples here that are very kind enough to join me today, and I love that. I get to do weddings in Spanish or weddings in both, which is my favorite, doing the dual language thing. And it's fascinating. Last night I did a wedding of an American guy and a Mexican girl, and it's beautiful just to see worlds coming together and sharing love, right, and being one. And also, as of this week, also we just opened our new Facebook page, Unity of the Triangle Español. We already have like 85 people in the group, so check it out. And I must say, it sounds like CNN and CNN in Espanol, something like that. So we're really excited. And I'm really excited because I am a true believer in these principles that we teach that are really transformational. And just to know that we'll have the opportunity of bringing this in another language to other communities really touches me greatly. So today I really feel that it's almost like the official launching of the ministry. So thank you for being here for that. So then, of course, we're having a hero, Papa Jaime, and we have never, throughout this series, I don't remember having a discussion as to what is a hero. And I said, let me just look it up, what the dictionary says a hero is. And it says that a hero is a person who is admired or idolized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. It's almost like I believe that when we hear the story of a hero, we just get proud as a human family to see, look what we as humans can accomplish. It's like our highest attainment. So you'll find out for yourself if you, like me, believe that Papa Jaime's story and Papa Jaime's work is really of a heroic nature. I'm going to share his story. First of all, I had the gift of meeting him in person. He came to Puerto Rico like maybe 8 years ago. I remember having this friend of mine call me. She was the organizer of the big Mind and Body Expo in San Juan, and she wanted me there to listen to this guy at 8:30 in the morning, which is like my big time, in a business. So I kept putting it off until one day she kept calling. I said, I better go. And I'm glad that I did because it was really transformational for me. So Jaime Jaramillo it's a chemical engineer who was educated here in the continental US. And in the 1970s, he's from Bogota, Colombia, and he's just walking down the street in Bogota when he is just noticing that this girl, a street girl, is all excited because some car threw this box, like a doll box, Fisher Price, and she's all excited, grabs the box and starts looking at the box. She's mesmerized to the point that she overlooks this truck that was on her direction, hits her, and unfortunately runs over her and kills her. And at that very, very moment, Papa Jaime says, at that microsecond, I knew what my mission in life is, at that very moment. So that, shortly after that Christmas, he decided on getting himself a Santa Claus outfit and going back to that area where he had seen so many street kids and, to bring them gifts over Christmas. So he's like all excited with his gift, and can you imagine there, all the kids jumping all over him. And all of a sudden he notices that in the white portion of his outfit that was brand new, he starts noticing some liquid and some weird smell. And he looks up and he's realized that this kid on top has something on the face, and when he noticed, it was like a hole. So he said to the kid, what happened there? And he said, a rat bit me. So, a rat? What do you mean? And then Papa Jaime is taken to where they live. They live down in the sewers. So he walks in, comes into that sewer area, and he sees a whole community of kids there, even a baby. And he starts to cry. You can imagine. He brought this for the Latin people in the community. He brought in Franco de Vita, a very famous Latin singer. And when Franco went down too, he started to cry, and he was inspired with this song, Niños de la Oscuridad, talking about these kids of darkness. Anyway, so he's like, we gotta do something here. So his very first dream was to get his kid's face fixed with a plastic surgeon, so he managed to get help for that. And one kid led to the other, and led to the other. And 40 years later, this foundation, Fundación Niños de los Andes, has helped 80,000 kids who have become like amazing citizens in society. Actually, he was a postulate for the Nobel Peace Prize, like Mother Teresa, but that's a tough competition, I must say. But he did win some award for peace and justice in the 1980s next to Mother Teresa. So they sort of like knew one another. That was a big thing when I was in that cocktail party, and I, like just talking to him, and so you met Mother Teresa and all that. Very humble guy, very sweet. Mother Teresa, when we did it a couple weeks ago, we did say that her work was amazing, but it was mostly about helping people, have a dignified death, and helping them about in their own conditions, not necessarily to create change, but just to love them and see the Jesus in them. Remember, we talked about that. Unlike Mother Teresa, Papa Jaime, it's more of a empowering guy. And even though the main thing was to feed these kids, get them, many of them are drug addicts, unfortunately, educate them or bring health care, I believe that his biggest contribution in their life and was really made him an effective leader was the fact that he inspired these kids by allowing them to see themselves as someone of great worth, not seeing themselves as victims. So it's almost like, he gives like a whole process of how he worked with these children, and the very first thing, he just allowed them to rediscover themselves, to see themselves as important, as valuable, as an expression of light. And then, right from the start, to help them with the forgiveness process, because many of these kids had a lot of frustration, anger. So he would allow them to release and forgive, and again, not see themselves as victims. He would say, I have a quote from Papa Jaime that I think it's a great one. He says, it's not what others say to you, but what you say to yourself. Right? That's a big one. There are many times that people might have a different opinion on us based on their level of consciousness, but what is it that we are telling ourselves? That's what really matters. And then he would get them to dream. Use the creative power of visualization to dream of a different life. And he shared the story of this kid that Papa Jaime would say, okay, probably Juanito, tell me what your dream is. And Juanito would say, well, I want to be off drugs one day. And Papa Jaime would say, that's not a big dream. Give me a bigger dream. One that is really deep in your heart. And the boy would just stand up and say, well, I would love to be an advanced tennis player, and I would love to go to a university in America. And then in his presentation, he cuts the presentation, and you see this kid playing tennis at the University of Tampa. So if you get, I mean, amazing stories. So I really feel that, again, his biggest contribution was to get them inspired to see themselves differently. And then the peak of his work would be, once you accomplish that dream and you experience that self-transformation, then go out and mentor somebody else and serve that other person. So all these kids have become mentors of one another, creating a whole chain of empowered people, right? So the ultimate point, the ultimate aim was for your legacy. How are you leaving your mark in the world? You know, like huella. In Spanish we say la huella. That, what would say huella? Fingerprint. I got some bilingual people on board. His recipe was very simple. If you love, forgive, and serve. Love, forgive, and serve. Your spirit will be ennobled, and you will be completely happy. Very simple. We've heard it before, but it's amazing how we see it played out there with these kids. So you can imagine, Papa Jaime has become a spiritual teacher who's I mean, if you see him, he wears prayer beads, wears white, has a very disciplined prayer and meditation practice, even does a lot of fasting, I know, because he shared that with us. And it's all about service, because he says, in order for you, if you commit your life to service, in order to keep giving and making a difference, you have to have it yourself. You cannot give someone something you don't have. So by committing to be of service, you secure that you're doing, you know, your own practice and everything else. And then, as of the late 1990s, he decided on creating an organization besides the foundation called Papa Jaime Leadership, which is, their aim is to develop the individual and collective consciousness through love. It's almost like unity, very similar. It's the awakening of the consciousness. And then his method, listen to this, his method is called Being, Master of the Mind and Disciple of the Heart. Being, means for him master of the mind and disciple of the heart, meaning mastering the thoughts, mastering our humanity, and then opening to let the heart teach you and let the heart lead you. So he's an amazing, I think he's, even like, I remember my mom went and she was, oh, he's an attractive man, you know. And I said, yeah, so, you know, he's a big, beautiful presence of light. And I'm just saying, and I was just thinking, aren't we also beautiful? You know, are we hero material? And it's not about saying, as we're having this series, it's not about necessarily saying, oh, we admire those heroes so much. It's about using the story and seeing how it can help you and I transform ourselves. Not that we need to do something to become famous like Gandhi or Martin Luther King, you know, but it's about being faithful to our mission and to our God-given greatness. In our Tuesday group, by the way, everybody's welcome. Every Tuesday from 12:30 to 2:30 on Dell Street, we got a group that is ongoing, and you can be walking like in the nail place anytime, right, Linda? So we have amazing group and amazing discussions. So we were really going deeper as to what makes you a hero. And we came to the conclusion that a hero is someone who has self-mastery. Can master himself, and we even got a definition from Cindy Wigglesworth's book on spiritual intelligence that says, self-mastery occurs when we subordinate our little will, meaning our personal tendencies and preferences, to the dominion of a higher will. So then it means that as we master our minds, our divinity, and allow our humanity and allow our divinity, we're becoming heroes. That's all it takes. And then we use Cindy's model of spiritual intelligence. I don't know if you're familiar, but she talks about 21 skills of people who are spiritually intelligent. And there's a whole skill set that if you work on those skills, you can accomplish self-mastery. And then by definition, then you become a hero, right? And you're probably asking, but what are the skill sets? I want to have that, right? So it's basically, in essence, four. One is commitment to your spiritual growth, keeping the higher self in charge, living your purpose and values, and sustaining faith. I'm going to mention it again so you can sink in. This is the skill sets that the more you honor them and work on them will give you self-mastery. Commitment to your spiritual growth. Keeping the higher self in charge. Living your purpose and values. And like I was sharing earlier, my son Luke went to this camp last Sunday, the whole week, and then they were doing like the 8 keys of a successful person. And they showed us a great way that I want to just, because it relates so well to what I'm saying now. If you take one hand and you write an A, meaning actions, and you take the other hand and write a V, values, when values and action come together, you're being in integrity, you're living your purpose and your values. So this is what it's all about. And we saw it in every hero we did. And then last but not least, sustaining faith. Meaning when things are not turning maybe the way I had expected to, when I find a certain unexpected challenge or situation, to stay present to the idea that there's good in here. That God is omnipresent and God is good, so there's good in here. Maybe I cannot see it now, but I'm going to hold on to that idea. And a great way of getting us to stay there would be gratitude, right? When we are in gratefulness, we see the good. It's been studied that you cannot be depressed and grateful at the same time. That's science. So if I'm in gratitude, it means that I'm seeing something positive, and then my faith is sustained there. So we saw it in Papa Jaime, we saw it on the others, and we see how they transform the world to this day, right? And again, it was not I go back to that idea that it's not about us doing something really big to be significant. You know, we tend to say, well, I'm not the president of the United States, whatever. It's like right where you are, to honor your mission and be faithful to it and loyal to it and from the heart. And the more we do that, I have really found it in my own life, the more we honor what our soul needs to experience through our work, through our relationships, through through our connection to our bodies, when we honor that, our mission, and we're completely in tune to the heart, we will experience that happiness that nothing else can give us. We will experience even abundance, and we will experience growth, because I believe that in order for all of us to stay present to our mission, we need to keep fueling the growth and the expansion of consciousness. So I'm really grateful for all the heroes that we studied, and I'm even grateful for Papa Jaime. I highly encourage, if you want to get more information, I wish there was much more in English, but there's some. I believe he's written some books that have been translated. But again, whatever, regardless of our